Ta-dam!
Magic.
Welcome, welcome, my friends. Coaching Journey with Jola. Jola Pypno-Crapanzano here with my amazing guest from luxurious place in the world, Monaco. Hi, Heidi, with the luxurious name, De Love. How are you?
Hi, Yola. Thank you for having me. I'm fine, actually, considering the circumstances we find ourselves in all over the world. Yeah, all is good. Busy.
I am so pleased and happy to have you today. My friends, I would like to introduce to you officially my goodness, this is a second large influence beside the Mira being the brainchild. This is the editor of this amazing book, guys. She put her magic touches, magic finishes to keep this and make this an international bestseller. How amazing is that? Heidi was able, which I let her talk about in a little while, to keep our individual languages and voices and all these accents from all over the world and writing styles and no writing styles, put it together and make this amazing book happen. Thank you for that, Heidi, so much.
It was a pleasure and an honor.
But that's not it. Heidi is not just an editor. She also is a writer. She has over 20 years experience being accredited as an English language principal. She worked for London Meridian School, right, Heidi? That's the correct name? As
London Meridian College.
Yeah. College, sorry, as a principal. She currently works at the company her husband owns. I got this word. All is well, right? No, all is well.
All is well. Mm-hmm.
She does different things for the company. She is just a magical woman. She is a sport enthusiast. She's, like I said, wife and mama of an amazing boy that they adopted from India. And we'll talk about all of this. I promise you, it's a fascinating story. Heidi, thank you for taking time and being here with me once again.
My pleasure.
I usually start these conversations with a very simple question. How are you doing these days? How is everything? We are similarly like you about a month in it right now in the lockdown/quarantine. How is it in Monaco, south of France?
Well, the weather is beautiful. Spring is starting, so it's kind of difficult to stay indoors all the time. This would be the time that we would go out to the beach for the first time and kind of meet up for drinks outdoors. And all in all, everything is okay. I think we all have our ups and downs. I think we all have days that we're just so fed up. But all in all, it's fine. I'm actually quite busy tutoring, and I have some other editing projects, and I'm writing my own book, and so I'm keeping busy. I'm keeping busy.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yes, it's just these book projects are getting more exciting every day, and if all is well, we probably will be again collaborating again in the near future. So I'm so excited about all of that. However, what I want to say is I didn't mention that Heidi is originally from Belgium. She traveled to Monaco through England. She lived in London for a little bit, so she's kind of like me in a sense, born in one country, finishing up with her life, not finishing up, but like living in a different place in the world. And on top of that, Heidi is like myself, kind of working on 4 different languages, right, Heidi? So you're fluent with the Flemish, with English, with French, and what was the 4th one?
And German. But German,
right?
My German's a little bit rusty at the moment,
Yes.
so I wouldn't be editing any books in German.
Got it. But guys, if you have a writing needs in French or in English, Heidi's your girl, or Flemish for that matter. Wonderful. So let's talk about our project, because here we go. We got 22 amazing stories, right? People from 15 different countries, all writing in English, stuff related to wellness, some sort of connection between mind, body, spirit. And here comes Heidi, who said that in the past, she edited and worked with many different wellness publications. And yet you said in a preface that this was something totally different, unexpected. Can you tell us what was so different about this book?
I have edited many wellness articles. I've edited wellness guides. And it wasn't ever anything new or, surprising. When I started editing one, it was just the honesty and the combination of people's personal experiences and how they transformed their lives. It was quite empowering. Every chapter was so different. And I hadn't expected it. I thought it would just be, a
Another
run-of-the-mill
wellness.
wellness, another wellness guide, with the standard advice, etc. But no, it really surprised me. And every chapter was really interesting and different. And I think the fact that I am multilingual is an advantage, because it's quite easy for me to understand what
How other
everybody is
people
trying
think,
to
right?
say, how other people think in their
Yes.
language.
Yes.
So I was able to kind of keep everybody's original story. I didn't have to cut too much or change too much. But I also liked the passion and enthusiasm that everybody had on this project. I've never seen anything like that.
That's wonderful.
Everybody was so devoted and really so supportive of each other as well, which is nice.
It's a miracle project, because from start to finish to becoming a bestseller in 50 days is something unheard of and unprecedented, and the fact that we actually were able to get this out there, like literally before this whole pandemic happened in the world. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? And yet it was almost like a gift, like you said in your preface, that it was like a gift that keeps on giving, because literally every author not only gave that extra little gift, but it was like, I feel we all have something to share. And all of us picked that one thing that we wanted to share. So now people don't have to go through crazy studying of that one subject or to say, they all got it in like a miniature pill, right? To just take it and you got it, And if you have interest, you can go deeper. So that was awesome stuff. And I remember you sharing with us in the process how each time you learn something new from this or that. I had the same feeling right now when I'm preparing for these interviews. I went through the book up front, and now each chapter is a new experience, because I go deeper. With you, I didn't have a chapter, so I had to focus on the previous. But I cannot wait for your own book. So let's talk a little bit. How is it, Heidi, for you? Let's say you creating these works for other people. Now, when you write your book, what will be the topic of that book? It will be related to wellness, or something different?
No, actually, it will be about adoption. It will be a semi-fictional story about adoption. I've only just started it, so I have gotten some feedback from a few people, and they're all very enthusiastic. So they're waiting for the next chapters.
Yes. So, I mentioned in the beginning of this conversation that, what was it, 7 years ago, right? You guys adopted a little boy from
Yes, 7 years ago. Yes.
Yeah, when we became friends through writing this book project, I started following you on different social media. So I got to know him, because you so beautifully share your journey, your trips, how amazingly he's such a lucky boy to have you both, in his life. And so maybe just share with us how that process started, how this idea was born, and then how do you find yourself as a mom now? How is it fulfilling for you?
Okay, so I have wanted to adopt since I was very young. And when I met Udi, it was probably one of the things we discussed early on when we met, that this would be something that in the future we wanted to do. So when we started the process, I was in my 30s. I never thought it would take that long. The administrative procedure took 5.5 years.
Wow.
To actually be able to pick up Julian. And you can read all the books in the world about adoption and parenting and children with trauma, etc., but nothing really prepares you for reality. So when we adopted Julian, he was already 5, and he didn't speak. at all.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so communication, it's so important. It's what I do. It's what I'm passionate about, is communication. And whereas I was prepared for the fact that maybe, he doesn't speak, I wasn't prepared for the
Did you
difficulty.
notice up front that he wasn't?
Yes,
That was
we
your
did. We
choice of
did.
a child. You weren't get the child assigned per se. You had a choice to pick that child. Yes.
No, 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 no. We only had one proposal.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to decide based on the information we were given, if we wanted to accept the child as our own, which we did, because he was healthy otherwise. So,
Yes.
and I have to say that adoption, it's the procedure is very emotional and it's very draining. And after 5.5 years, you're kind of like, okay, that's it, I'm not waiting anymore. I will deal with whatever comes my
Yes.
way.
Yes.
But I'm very, very happy we said yes, because
Yes.
he is incredible and he speaks fluent English and French today.
Two
So
languages. Look at that. How amazing is that?
mm-hmm,
Oh
mm-hmm.
my goodness. Are you planning ever for him to learn his native language? If he had the desire or not really?
If he had the desire, yes, but I don't think he's ready at the moment. I'm still working up to going back to India, maybe to visit. So
Ah,
when he's ready, we would like to go back. I have kept in touch with the orphanage and people that we met there. So when the day comes that he says, "Okay, now I'm ready," we will be ready.
that is such a
But
wonder.
it's
I'm
an
giving
it's an
you
amazing experience.
I'm
Yeah.
giving you and Udi and your baby amazing virtual hug. You guys are
Thank you.
so special. And I actually follow couple people. One of them is a famous US influencer. Her name is Rachel Hollis. She has 3 of her own children, boys, and they wanted to adopt a baby girl. And it was she describes it in her books. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
the process of adopting that baby, it was a long process. She actually was given first an opportunity to adopt baby girls, two, I believe there was two sisters or something like that, and then
Mm-hmm.
they were taken back away from her after a few months. So that's just trauma, absolute trauma. But that's something I just wanted to bring up, because people have dreams, and I always like to point out in these interviews that if you have something in your heart, if you really go hard after this, if you really want it so badly, it will happen. It may take time, like in your case, but then after all, it's so worth it, right?
Absolutely. Like you, I believe if you want something, eventually it will happen.
Wonderful. That is so
Yeah.
awesome. So right now is when you do these book projects with people,
Mm-hmm.
let's say if you edit wellness publications, this book, what is one thing besides like keeping true to the person's story? What's the one thing the editor really has to look at? Because that always fascinated me. I have couple my own book ideas in my head. Like I
Mm-hmm.
am so thrilled that this process was introduced to me, writing a collab book and just learning about the whole, from A to Z, how we came together. But when you do it yourself, it's a little different. Now you concentrate on your story, you work with your publisher, you work with your editor. But how does it work as, let's say, if I have a story, what does a
Mm-hmm.
publisher really do? I'm sorry, the editor really do with that story?
Okay, so it depends on the kind of editing you want, but basically the main things I do is cutting in the story. It's the hardest thing for the writer, is to cut. But sometimes for the story to become, to flow better, to be clearer to the reader, you have to cut out some parts sometimes. If there's too much information or it's too long-winded, people get lost. Timeline is very important. It might make sense to you when you're writing it, but that's because it's in your mind. But what you're writing might not necessarily be clear to the reader. They might get a little bit lost with the timeline, or they might get confused with the characters. So really, it's making sure that the storyline flows, that it all makes sense. Obviously, spelling, grammar, variety of vocabulary, not to be too repetitive, etc. and to be able to cut where necessary, and to be able to explain to the author why it should be cut.
Yeah, I think this is a very powerful thing. And I also learned, because I was considering with one of my book projects using so-called ghostwriters, and I wonder if these ghostwriters, do they also being edited, or these ghostwriters are already editors? How does it work?
I think they are still edited as well. You always need to have your book edited. It could be short editing, just to check the spelling, punctuation, more like proofreading. Or you could have creative editing. Creative editing is more detailed. This goes a lot deeper than just checking the spelling and punctuation. But every book is proofread or edited, for sure.
Yes.
And then every book still has a mistake in it.
Yes, it's crazy, right? I remember how we went through our process, multiple. You were on vacation in Morocco, I believe, right? When you were still working on the last touches of our book. And then there's always some like comma or some punctuation missing somewhere. It's very interesting, right? And it's when we look at the same thing over and over and over again, after a while we simply don't see that, and then a while back, a little later on, you look at the same thing, why didn't I see that? It's just right there, you can see, because at that point it's like almost blends right in, right?
It's a process. When I get a chapter, I will read it first, and then I'll let it sit for a while. I'll think about it for a day, 2 days, kind of, I digest it. And then I start thinking about ideas, maybe to make changes. How would it sound better? How would it make more sense? Or the things that don't make sense to me, then I will discuss it with the author and say, okay, it's not clear to me what you're trying to say. So if it's not clear to me, it's not going to be clear to anybody. So it's a process of reading, digesting, changing, sending it back to the author, making sure that they're happy with the first changes, then adding more. I was having an interesting conversation recently, and somebody put it very nicely. It's like adding shrubbery to a garden, or adding more flowers and making it more, expand certain things,
aesthetically
or
beautiful,
weed out certain things. You have to do some weeding in the garden as well. So
yes.
It's a fun process.
And that's really like with different gardens, French or English, or let's say Chinese or Japanese, you have different styles, right? Nice way of putting this. Very good, Heidi. I love it. Very nice. So if I'm going to actually check, because I always fail to tend to our Facebook audience. I'm going to see if we're being
this is an
live.
absolute first for me. I have never been live on
You're doing
Facebook.
Phenomenal. You are like a pro. You've done it all your life.
I doubt that.
People watching us. I want to say hello to everybody watching us on Facebook. My friends, if you have questions regarding editing of a book or anything like that, and Heidi would be happy to share some, you can drop the questions below or contact her afterwards. Because that's what we do here. We learn together. I had a powerful coaching call this weekend with my coach, my mentor, and one of the things he said, this is the most powerful, important time in our life, probably once given us, that we could really skill up. We can do everything that we always wanted. And I intuitively knew that this is the time was given to me as a gift from Mother Nature, from the universe, from whatever you want to call it. Not exactly how I would love it to the T, but still a gift, and I'm using it, and I learn every single day something new, and I'm very, very happy about this. So Heidi, my love, please tell me, because I know besides other things that you are huge. That's why it was so easy to you to write about this edit book about the connection between body, mind, and soul, because you are a huge enthusiast of wellness and sports generally, right? Sports activities.
I am.
About this area of your life. When I tried to get information, regarding this interview, I saw you participated in many different runs, right? Different, I don't know if you do marathons, half marathons, whatever you run.
I like a good challenge. I like physical challenges.
So do I.
So, I'm always that person. If somebody thinks, who shall I ask to do something crazy with? They usually end up calling me. So I have
virtual 5.
Yay! I'm usually up for lots of things. So I have done the Walk of Death, which is a walk in Belgium. It's a 100-kilometer walk in 24 hours, which I've done twice. So basically it's 22 hours nonstop walking, which is probably harder mentally than it is physically. Because you don't sleep. You just have to keep walking, and you don't want to quit. So, I was raised not to quit. My dad, he taught us quitting is never an option. I have climbed Kilimanjaro. Yes, that was an incredible adventure, which I would definitely recommend to anybody considering it. Do not hesitate. It is an amazing experience. I did that with a girlfriend for her 50th birthday and for my 40th, actually. And I have ran the London Marathon 3 years ago for charity. And then I had a big injury. I actually ran it with a stress fracture in the hip. So I trained a little bit too hard. And after 30 kilometers, I couldn't run anymore because I was in too much pain. So I called my husband crying because I was so disappointed. Because I'm very competitive. And he said, just walk it, that's it. And it was incredible. The crowd was amazing. I have never experienced anything like it. I've done a lot of events and competitions, but the London Marathon, that's really special.
I have
really
to tell
special.
You, by heart, I'm a sprinter. So I actually, I had a conversation with Udi, your husband, about running because I was injured with skiing this winter. And I when he offered whoever wants to join him on this challenge to prepare for the next marathon, I wasn't able to. However, because of Strava, now I'm following both of you guys in your fitness challenges. But what's interesting is my husband actually is a marathon runner. So he runs several marathons in New York City, in New Jersey, all these big marathons. And I am so impressed with you guys able to run such a long distance. Like right now, I think the biggest I run was 5K run, I cannot imagine anything big. But I know that's what I asked actually Udi in that conversation when we talked on social media. How do one prepare themselves for such a long? And they basically, it's like you increase it, right? You just get it a little bit. So I don't know. I never made this decision that I would run one marathon, but I think it's just like jumping out of the perfectly good plane that I did. And I don't ask me why I did it. And many years since I will never do that. And I did it. So who knows? Maybe one day I will run a marathon too.
Never say never.
It's a great challenge for sure. So so that's what you do as a sport. That's your main thing, running?
I love running. I did athletics as a child, so running is really my passion. But because of the injury, and then I had knee surgery last year, I haven't been running for a while. So I just started cycling again. Now we have the bicycle indoor on the rolls, so I'm doing some indoor cycling, and I'm hoping that my knee will get stronger and I can go back to running.
Because
that is
you have to fully heal it, because again, from my husband's experience, he used to be a runner, and then when he stopped running from the hard surfaces, you can totally destroy your knees. So when he went few years back to go back to it, whoa, destroyed his knees again. So not good. We got to be very careful. But anyway, wishing you the best of luck, and keep competitive and keep challenge yourself, because that's the best, I feel like, the best spice in life, right?
Absolutely. I'm thinking what could be the next challenge. I feel that I'm ready to set a new challenge. Usually I combine it with fundraising. If I do something crazy, then I might as well try and fundraise for charity.
Exactly my next question to you, because you mentioned that marathon in England was a charity, and I've noticed here a couple of fundraisers, Illuminate India, Children with Cancer UK, Mother for Mothers in Belgium. Can you tell us a little bit about these fundraisers? How it'll be very interesting.
So sure, yeah. My fundraising philosophy is that a little can make a big difference. So I'm not the kind of person who would go around asking for big donations and stuff. I would like to make I would like people to feel that everybody can contribute. Even if it's €5, it makes a difference. So when we climbed Kilimanjaro, we carried a flag with us to the top, and everybody who paid €5, their name was on the flag.
Oh,
And so
wonderful.
we had a lot of people sponsoring, and then companies joined in. So we
And that
raised
was for what
about,
fundraiser?
that was for an orphanage in India for disabled children.
Oh, how wonderful.
And yes, they built a new orphanage with a yard so the children could go outside. It's very hard because when I went to India to pick up Julian, you know, kids that are disabled in orphanages, they often don't go out. The orphanages, they don't have the means to take them out. They don't have a special van. They don't have the ability to take them out. So very often they are just indoors all the time, which is very sad. So this particular charity was run by two women in America, actually, that I came across during our adoption journey. And I like small charities because you can see what they do with the money that you raise.
Yes.
So it was a really great project. And in the end, we had money left. So people could choose whether we would buy cows or medicine or books.
That is
Of course, everybody picked the cows.
Oh my goodness. But you know what? I think that this is such a brilliant idea. Like, you know, people do certain like they try to accomplish something, like you say, a run. And you can just basically, like you said, walk with the flag, and you have this, somebody feels special donating this money, and they know they've been recognized and acknowledged, and people appreciate it so much, being simply appreciated in life, right?
Exactly. And
that's
and when they see the result, it's,
yes.
charity is very satisfying, even though it helps other people, it also helps you because it gives you a lot of satisfaction.
Yes.
And when I did the London Marathon, I did something similar. So people could buy a spot on my tights. And, if they wanted to be on my bum, they paid a little bit more.
Oh, hello there, lady. Beautiful, Heidi. Love it. I need to go now back and check if I can see those tights anywhere in pictures.
I still have them.
More importantly, check that bum. Screw the tights. Heidi, can I ask you something? So tell me, please, if you were to, as a coach, I'm a high performance coach. So as a coach, I often ask my clients this question. If I had a magic wand and I would wave at you right now, what would be your a biggest dream regarding, let's say, the fundraisers? What would you do for the world? Because you're the type of person giving with such a big heart. I feel that everything for you, you already have what you wanted, but now you want to give to others. It seems to me that way. Am I right or am I right? So
yes, you're right.
What would be that thing that you would have as your mission in life, your purpose regarding that charity work, fundraisers and so on?
Okay, so all of my fundraisers have always been for children. I believe that children who are born in poverty, hunger, they did not choose that life. And every child deserves happiness, every child deserves a family, and every child deserves education. It's so important. And unfortunately, today there are many, many, many children without families. There are many children that can't go to school. Ideally, that would disappear. So any fundraiser I would do would be for a children's charity, for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, when I went to India, it was really hard to see, to go to the orphanage already was quite difficult because the children are just waiting to be picked up, and they kind of see you arrive and they all think you came for them, but you only came for one child. And interestingly, my son, for a long time, he thought that parents were white, were Caucasian. So when he got to France, he was completely confused because everybody was Caucasian around him. So he got really confused because in the orphanage, all the kids were picked up by, Caucasian parents. So definitely, yes, children, poverty, children
So, so
who
the
are suffering
fundraiser,
from hunger.
the
It
one that
shouldn't
you did
exist
for
anymore.
so the fundraiser that you did for India was for the orphanage that your son was
Hmm.
raised, yeah. But so let's say if you had like really like this one big glorious dream goal, what would you do?
I would climb another mountain. Um, I have my sights set on Elbrus in Russia because it's one of the 7 summits. I've done Kilimanjaro. The Elbrus seems doable. It's very beautiful, and I just enjoy the hiking. I enjoy the climbing. I enjoy the fact that it takes you away from civilization. I mean, 7 days with no Wi-Fi. It's wonderful. It really is. It was one of the best things about climbing Kilimanjaro was you were cut off from everything, and it was very refreshing to not read the news, to not check your social media, to just completely disconnect.
Yeah, and how amazing for the creativity, right? I had a
Hmm.
conversation with one of our co-authors, with Nikki, when he would talked about, like how your creativity get boosted by just being out there and exploring and conquering and
Hmm.
going after these amazing things in life. That's so good, so good. Heidi, I want to ask you like a sort of like a parting question because I don't want to take
Hmm.
too much time from your busy life, but if you were to sort of advise people from your position as as educator, as being a principal in college, for so many years, of being an editor, working with so many people, so how different people act in different situations. So now we have a very particular situation, and you've seen the best and the worst in people, right? Like I always say, if something was great,
Hmm.
it's going to be emphasized and glorified right now. If something wasn't working, it's going to fall apart. This is the trying times, right? But if from all your life experiences, I love to ask these questions, what would be your advice for people in these difficult times these days?
I think that it's very important to take care of yourself as well, to not forget the importance of looking after yourself, to take some time to disconnect and to take some time to think. It's a scary time. So you shouldn't overthink it either, because we all have those days when our mind just starts wandering and we're imagining all these terrible scenarios. I mean, you must identify with the fact that maybe you won't see family for a very long time. I'm really thinking, when am I going to be able to go back to Belgium? When am I going to see my mom? And but when you start thinking like that, it kind of, that's it. I shouldn't really go there. I think it's important to reconnect to ourselves and to use the time to discover what makes us happy, maybe which things we want to change in the future, and to just try and make the most of it. And certainly it gives you a chance to reconnect with your family
Yes,
in your house
yeah,
with your kids and your
yeah.
partner.
Yes, and luckily we have this amazing, still working somehow today, beautifully internet and all sorts of connections that allow us to stay in touch with the rest of the world, even though
Mm.
physically we are not close. Because of all that is so amazing, and I think the project that we were able to complete in such a short time we were able to do it because of that connection. Like daily we could really had, interactions on top of everything, like how it's going, what would we need to da 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 da. It was just so awesome, so awesome. And I truly, truly, truly hope that we get to meet in person one day. I've been to Monaco several times in the past. It was usually either on a cruise on Mediterranean Sea,
Hmm.
because I used to work as a tour guide, so I travel the world pretty extensively. I've been to close to 70 countries by now, and so traveling is a beautiful part of the world where you are. There's no question about it. And um, but if not there, then perhaps life will bring you across the big pond to me. I would love to have you as a guest, all of you guys, if you come and travel. And
We
you
still
know,
have to organize our launch parties.
that's right. I've been saying that. My goodness me, my party with Martina was supposed to happen in 3 weeks time around my birthday, May. Your guys' party was supposed to happen in Monaco, right? Nothing, none of that. Everything got cancelled. But like I said, we still have to count our blessings. The fact that the book that happened, that got published and became an international bestseller. So
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for your amazing work. Truly, that was a pleasure and honor working with you. And I somehow in my heart have a feeling that, like I said, we didn't finish our last work together yet. There will be more coming, not only on our collab project, but maybe even in something more intimate. I want to wish you and your family all the best, all three of you, and whisper to Udi some good word for me. You know what we're talking about.
I will.
Thank you so much. And then I would love to, if you don't mind, share your social media handles, your website, if someone would like to reach you, if they would like some collaboration on book editing or anything else.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. So Heidi, tell me, what would be your website or social media handles if somebody would like to reach you up?
Facebook, Instagram, it's both Heidi De Love, Heidi DE and then LOVE. And I don't really have my own website, actually. It would be on LinkedIn, or they can go to the Whole as Well website.
Perfect. That's it. That's exactly what we need. Yes, and this is easy. All you need is a messenger these days, and you can get anyone out there, right? So it's not that complicated. Someone will find a way. Let me see if we have any questions before I let you go. And if not, I will just be so thrilled. Yeah, we don't have anything at the moment. Thank you very much, everyone who was watching us live. I appreciate you guys so very much. Oh, that's very nice. And Heidi, stay healthy and safe, okay, my darling?
Thank you. You too. And we'll speak soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.